Dricus Du Plessis says Israel Adesanya is the best opponent he's faced so far. The two fought last summer. Dricus won the fight by submission in the 4th round. In an interview with Betway, Drake, he said, "My toughest opponent to date." Well, that's a very open-ended question because there were fights that were the hardest for me. I have to say, probably Adesanya was the best guy I've faced in this specific area. Probably the fight I was most nervous for. Just in terms of how good he is. He can catch you with anything, anytime. All the time I spent looking up to him and studying him because he was the benchmark, knowing what he's capable of. I think he's the best guy I've faced. And obviously, if you watch that fight, it was one hell of a fight. It was a tough night at the office for both of us. But then when you just go on pure toughness, you have to go with either Brad Tavares or Sean Strickland. Just the amount of damage they were able to take and just keep going. Jon Anik isn't too happy with Sean O'Malley for calling out Cory Sandhagen for a short notice fight. Cory is already set to challenge Merab Dvalishvili for the bantamweight title at UFC 320. On the Anik and Florian podcast, Anik said the call out didn't make sense and that it left a bad taste in his mouth. A clip from the podcast was posted to X with the caption, "Jon Anik is not happy with Sean O'Malley for asking to fight Cory Sandhagen on short notice."
I love Sean O'Malley, right? But when I read that he called the UFC and asked for Cory Sandhagen on short notice in New Orleans when they needed a co-main event, it left a bad taste in him, right? Because in a championship world, right, how does a fight between the former champion O'Malley, who just came off the loss to Merab, and the #1 contender Sandhagen make any sense right now? You know, I understand sometimes stars are thrusted into big spots, Ray, because the UFC needs fight. But
Yeah.
if O'Malley and Sandhagen are ever going to fight, let's not do it hastily on 3 weeks notice, right? Because Sean's trying to sort of, get a bad taste out of his mouth. Like, thankfully, there was no sort of motion to do that. I mean, Sandhagen would only laugh if that call came in. But, I don't know. I just wanted to bring that to your attention.
Ben Askren shared another update about his health. Even though he had to go back to the hospital, he said he's feeling better and making progress.
What's up, guys? Update number 9. So I know I kicked some butt on this walker. I did a full lap earlier. That was the first time I did a full lap. So I'm going to try to do a full lap again. Hopefully I see I'm making some progress and getting better even though I'm stuck here in the hospital. That's progress. I'm gassed. That one lap of walking can get you there tired. But that's my almost 3rd lap today, so making some good progress. Hope you guys are doing the same with your lives.
Fight announcement. Abuz Magomedov will face Joe Pyfer at UFC 320 on October 4th. Magomedov is on a 3-fight win streak, with his most recent win being a unanimous decision over Michel Pereira in April. Pyfer is riding a 2-fight streak of his own, with a solid win over Kelvin Gastelum in June. Meanwhile, a heated rivalry is set to return at PFL Dubai on October 3rd. Artem Lobov will take on Ubaidulla Tukhov in a fight that goes way back. This is the same rivalry that helped spark the legendary feud between Conor McGregor and Khabib Nurmagomedov. It'll be Lobov's first MMA fight since 2018, when he lost to Michael Johnson by decision. Tukhov is also making his return after a long break. His last fight was a split decision win over Elves Brener at UFC 284 in 2023. Caio Borralho thinks Robert Whittaker might be close to retiring after his recent split decision loss to Reinier de Ridder. Caio is now preparing to fight Nasruddin Imavov at UFC Paris on September 6th. Speaking to the Schmo, Caio said, "I don't think so. Robert Whittaker is a legend. I'm a big fan of him and all that he's done in the sport. He's one of the GOATs in the middleweight division. But right now, I feel that it seems he doesn't want to be there anymore. His face says that. His body expressions say that. I don't think he wants to go in there and do like a 5-round war again. I don't believe that. With all due respect to him, I'm a big fan, but right now it's just not his moment anymore. I think he's very close to retire or something like that." Nacho Moicano appeared on the Ariel Helwani show yesterday and fired back at Brendan Schaub. For those who missed it, last week Brendan criticized Renato for not accepting the UFC antitrust lawsuit settlement money, which Renato said was around $200,000. In response, Renato didn't hold back. He called Brendan's comedy special terrible and made it clear he wasn't afraid to speak his mind.
Last thing that I want to say is sometimes when I'm doing the Show Me the Mind podcast, I cannot articulate like that. I cannot say the things that I believe in because it's a 1 hour show and I have to be funny. You know, I have to be funny. I want to be funny. Sure. I'm speaking on my second language. And so that's why I can understand why the people clip and they say, hey, this guy is dumb, you know? And if you think yourself as dumb, think the people that watch the Brendan Schaub show on YouTube, the comedian, the special, that's terrible. Okay, brother. Even I can do better than that shit, brother. And I don't even speak English, and I can be funnier than you, my brother.
So Papa catches stray. Oh dear. Oh okay. Dear.
Chael Sonnen is very confident that the UFC is working on booking Ilia Topuria versus Arman Tsarukyan next. This comes even after Ilia recently said he'd rather give up the lightweight belt than defend it against Arman. But according to Chael, the UFC has other plans, and he believes that fight is coming sooner than people think. Speaking to MMA Junkie, Charles said outside of illness or injury, even if I'm breaking news to you, I'm not sharing my opinion. I'm sharing a fact with you. It's Arman versus Ilia. That is 100% the plan. There's a couple things that have changed for Tsarukyan. I'm obviously coming to you with information whether I should have or shouldn't have. Secondly, I was the best man at his wedding, and his name is Daryl Christian, and he's the wrestling coach of Arman Tsarukyan, third of all. I spoke to coach Sam Calvita, who wanted to film Chimaev training, and it turned out Tsarukyan is in the room, and a bigger tell also is what Ilia did a week ago, which he said, I don't want to fight the greats. They don't even know they have it. Ilia's first move for doing a fight is to deny the fight. The only person that he said he'll openly fight is Paddy. Everybody else that he's getting ready to fight, he denies. It's just his approach. Anderson Silva had one. He would always deny the fight, and he would let that run for about 2 weeks. He would then accept the fight. He would let that run for about a month. Then he would slip an injury report to the media where you think the fight is off and it's not gonna happen. He would go and get his run out of that and would tell everybody, I'm fine, it's on. I'm only sharing. That was his system, 100% of his fights. He felt the same way. Ilia's is not any different whether he knows about it or not. Ilia's first move when he's gonna fight a guy, aside from Paddy, is to say I'm not gonna fight this guy. Tsarukyan got put through a purgatory and he had to get out of it. But he did. When he showed up, got licensed, weighed in, went through a training camp, and he has to sit in the first row and even watch Paddy the Baddy get in the ring and get attention, and not him. I'm just saying there is an appreciation historically that has shined down, and it's also gonna be shown to him. Matchup-wise, the hardest matchup for Ilia's Arman Tsarukyan. I think that the world would lean towards a Poirier right now. He's just the flavor. He's hot. He's undefeated, and he's the champion of the world. He should be 2-division champion, BMF champion, lineal-wise, but if Tsarukyan gets his hand on you, you've got a problem. Israel Adesanya posted footage of him and Alexander Volkanovski sparring. Go check out the full video on Izzy's YouTube channel. Links in the description. Sean O'Malley shared his thoughts on Merab Dvalishvili's upcoming title defense against Cory Sandhagen. He said if Merab can get a hold of Cory, it could be a long night for him. O'Malley also spoke about the chance of facing Cory in the future, saying it's a fight that's bound to happen sooner or later.
It's me and Cory have very similar styles. Cory did do a really good job against Umar, creating scrambles and like keeping his hips high when Umar tried to get to his back. Umar and Merab have different grappling strengths and techniques, but man, I think if Merab can get a hold of Cory, I just don't see. Merab felt so strong and just really strong in those certain positions. His gas tank's ridiculous. I don't know. I think if I had to guess, Merab, but it's hard for me to count Cory out because I do think Cory skill for skill is one of the best guys in the UFC. I think he's got more skills overall than Merab, but Merab, that skill set he does have is so good, so dominant. It's very Khabib-like in a sense, and it's hard to count either one of those guys out. But yeah, if I had to guess, I'm kind of leaning towards Merab, but Cory, it wouldn't be surprised if Cory goes out there and does something spectacular.
Well, Cory said that if he were to win, that he would want you to be his first title defense. How would you approach that matchup?
I wouldn't say no. If they said, hey, if Cory beat Merab, you're fighting Cory for the title, I'd feel a little weird coming off 2 losses to fight for the title again. But I would, I'm not going to say no to a title fight, especially against Cory. Yeah, me versus Cory, I was actually trying to fight Cory when the co-main event fell out for that Max and Dustin fight. I threw my name out there to UFC. I was like, 3 weeks, me versus Cory would be sweet, but it didn't really make sense for the UFC. Cory versus Merab was the next fight to make. But yeah, me versus Cory is a very interesting fight. That's one that's bound to happen sooner than later, probably.
Ray Longo explained why he thinks Dricus Du Plessis has the edge in his upcoming middleweight title defense against Khamzat Chimaev.
What are your thoughts on what we're going to see, and ultimately, who do you like? UFC 319 Du Plessis v. Chimaev.
Yeah, really, really excited for this fight. I think the build-up kind of ended up being perfect too, even with all the missed fights and this and that. I think it actually added towards the excitement of the fight, but man, I tell you, I like, again, Dricus has really grown on me to where I really starting to love the guy. Like, I like the tenacity. I don't feel like, and again, that doesn't mean anything. I'm just saying, optically, he doesn't look like the best guy around. He's awkward. But man, the guys that are just tough and gritty and got the gas tank and belief in themselves, sometimes, man, it just goes such a long way. And I think that's what I'm seeing in Du Plessis, and plus he's a big, strong kid. So that's the game to me. It looks like, can Chimaev get it done within 2 rounds, and can Dricus weather the storm and get it done in the 4th and 5th round? And I'm leaning towards Dricus dragging that fight into the 4th and 5th round. I don't think that other guy wants anything to do with rounds 4 and 5.
Alex Bahama just posted some intense training footage on his Instagram. He's getting ready for his rematch with Goliath for the light heavyweight title at UFC 320, and it looks like he's going all in.
Sai! Toma retar, vai! Aqui!
Last week, Din Thomas said that if Khamzat Chimaev beats Dricus Du Plessis at UFC 319 and becomes the new middleweight champion, it would be a disaster for the UFC. He pointed to Khamzat's history of pulling out of fights, saying there's always worry he might not show up. Bilal Muhammad responded on his YouTube channel, saying he completely disagrees.
I don't know what the fudge Din Thomas is talking about, but I think he's way off on this one. I think it'll be one of the biggest things for the UFC if Chimaev wins the belt. I think he'll be probably one of the biggest stars, superstar right now the UFC has. He's already a star. He already has that invincible aura about him. I think it's only going to get bigger, especially if he goes out there and dominates Dricus, who's on a hot streak. And I think he can. I think he can go out there and finish him dominantly, or even like Khabib said, just strike. I think he could outstrike him. He'll make it look easy if he keeps it on the feet, I think. Yeah, Dricus has a chin. He has cardio. He has an awkward style. He has toughness. But I think Chimaev's a lot cleaner. If he keeps it standing, I think he'll be able to keep that pace the whole 5 rounds and even hurt him. He's showed a lot of his power, and he's shown that he's working hard. he's only getting stronger at 185, showing his body is forming out to it. So I do think he could do it dominantly. I know Dean Thomas said that he won't be as active, but I think a lot of that just comes from not being able to get into the U.S. Now he's in the U.S. He's been training in L.A. He's fighting in Chicago. Especially if he wins the belt, I think it'll be easier for him to stay down here. I think you're way out, Dean. Cheering for Chimaev. I think he wins. I hope he wins. Dricus, you suck. But yeah, Chimaev, you need anything in Chicago, hit my line.
And that's going to wrap it up for the news. Thanks for watching. For daily MMA news and content, subscribe to MMA Analysts and click the bell icon to be notified when we post videos. See you in the next video.